Hey, what's up, everybody? It is
Everybody,
Sunday,
it's
October 1st, 2023, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Now Mind You podcast. We're your hosts. I'm TJ,
I'm Matt.
Bryce.
and this is, of course, episode 85 Combat, where we are going to cover the honestly hyped up, and I would say for the most part, lived up to the hype event in the boxing world that took place last night as of this recording, which was Saturday, the 30th of
30th.
September. I'll say the 37th. No, the 30th of September. We're talking about, of course, Canelo Alvarez versus Jermell Ironman Charlo. Like I said, this was in Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena, and on this main card, we had Resendiz versus Garcia at middleweight. We had Ugas versus Barrios at welterweight. We had Lubens versus
It's just Luba.
Luben Luben. Thank you, Matt. Versus Ramos at, I believe, was it super middle or was it
Lubin and Ramos was at super middle, yes.
super middleweight?
No, it was at super welter. I apologize.
Super welter. Thank you for the correction. And then, of course, Canelo versus Charlo at super middleweight, if I recall correctly, right? We're going to be covering Ugas Barrios, Lubin versus Ramos, and of course the main event. With that being said, Matt, take it away.
So our first fight that we're going to get into is Mario Barrios.
I'm gonna let you finish, but I just had to say no. Go ahead.
And Yorinas Ugas. Now, before I get into that, forgive TJ, forgive me, and pretty much anybody else as it relates to the weight classes within boxing, not only because one, they're a gang of them and they're confusing, but the second one being that there are multiple names for the same weight class. What do you mean by that, Matt? Prime example, super welterweight and junior middleweight is the same weight class. It's the exact same weight class. It's just called two different things. So you could call it junior middleweight, or you can call it super welterweight, but that's 154 pounds. You see what I'm saying?
I'm already scratching my forehead.
I mean, and that's fine. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. The point of that being that us confusing the weights made sense because the weight classes are in fact confusing. But to clarify, well, I'll get to that when we get to it. So we'll start off with Mario Barrios versus Yorinas Ugas at welterweight, which in this instance is 147 pounds because welterweight is just welterweight. There's no other version. Well, anyway, I'm not even going to ruin anybody else's day. So TJ's mainly because in fact, I'm going to send you this list, TJ, so you know what I'm talking about. And it's just going to, I know it's just going to anger you. He's going to like lobby against Congress. Like, can we just clear this up? Can we just not call these two things?
TJ, this is going to be his life mission.
If you send me something like heavyweight is like 135 pounds, I'm just going to throw everything away.
He's like sweeps everything off the desk and walks out. So we got Yorinas Ugas versus Mario Barrios. Yorinas Ugas being the veteran in this situation, nicknamed 54 Milagros, 54 Miracles, 5'9". His reach is 73 inches. He's 37 years old, and he fled from Cuba to be able to come to America and be able to continue his dream of being a boxer and becoming a professional. Yorinas Ugas has had a very long career. Has fought, in a decent amount of ways, a who's who of fighters. He even holds a victory over Manny Pacquiao. But this dude, like I said, has been around. He's 37 years old, and during that 37 years of life, he's gone to the Olympics in 2008. He's gone to multiple Pan American Games and multiple World Cups and World Championships for boxing. He's been boxing longer than he's been doing anything else. And then on the other end, you have a guy that's a bit more of a newcomer, almost 10 years younger than him at 28 years old, Mario Barrios, El Azteca. Mario Barrios kind of came into popularity and prominence by fighting Gervonta Davis as a last-minute replacement back in 2021. And despite the fact that he lost, he was despite the fact that he lost his title to Gervonta Davis in that instance, he made a pretty good name for himself because of the account he gave for himself in the fight. Pretty much really made a name for himself after ultimately being stopped in the 11th round via TKO. And he was, just to be clear, he did not get separated from his consciousness. He just was done, man. It was like the referee had to step in. Mario Barrios is a warrior. And one thing I can tell you as a person who's watched him fight, obviously since that fight, and he's had 2 other fights prior to this one, you don't have to look for Mario Barrios. If you have to fight him, he right there. He coming. You won't have to look for him. He's coming to fight. And the same thing, 100% the same thing is said about Yordenis Ugas. These are both guys who like to come forward, as I'm sure TJ will agree with. Would you argue that based off what we saw?
Oh, 100%. No one was on their back foot. Everybody was here to scrap.
Yeah, these guys were doing more lateral steps than horizontal. They were, shit. Anyway,
we get what you mean. We get what you mean.
You know what the fuck I mean.
Yeah.
Leave me alone, shit. Long day. Anyway.
Don't at me.
Right. Ugas is pretty much known for being able to use that reach and throwing a lot of really straight and sharp jabs and sharp left hands and right hands. And I was concerned that he wouldn't necessarily be able to get that off on a guy like Mario Barrios because they're about the same size. Both of these guys are pretty good, pretty big for their respective weight classes, being about 5'10" and 5'9" apiece. And, we're talking about 147 pounds here. And then Ugas with these 73-inch arms. And, Mario Barrios is sitting at 71 inches. So the reach difference wasn't too much for the way that both guys like to fight. These aren't dudes that like to fight really far out. They kind of want to get to it in the pocket. And that's what they did. Early on, it felt like the rounds were kind of going back and forth. There was a bit of an ebb and flow in the fight, but you were seeing more and more that the younger guy was kind of getting the better of some of the exchanges, that being Mario Barrios. Early on, in fact, was it the second or third round, TJ? I want to say it was the second round.
Oh, for the stepping jab?
Yeah.
It was round 2. You are correct.
In the second round, he actually drops Ugas with a step-in jab. He steps in and jabs right underneath the right hand. It hits Ugas perfectly on the chin. And to be honest with you, for what Mario Barrios did not give us in volume last night, he did give us in accuracy. A lot of times when they would show those replays in slow motion, they would show those exchanges. It wasn't just, his glove wasn't just landing. He was hitting like the chin, the point of the chin, the temple, the socket of the eye. He was not getting a lot of grazing shots. He was landing a lot of things clean. Which ultimately I feel led to, his victory. And I honestly felt like it should have led to a TKO. Right. Ultimately, we got a unanimous decision for Mario Barrios, but I'm going to let TJ give you some more of the details on the fight.
Excuse me, just piggybacking off of the unanimous decision. It wasn't a unanimous decision like, I guess he just did better than the other dude. It was like, no, it is clear. If the judges did anything else, it would have been like a disservice. It was clear that Ugas got beat up. Well, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say from round maybe 8 or 9 on.
Yeah,
the doctor had to be called at the beginning of the round each time because they're like, "Hey, can you come take a look at this dude's eye right now?" Ugas's right eye was done. And it honestly, it was the eye that underwent surgery after his bout with Errol Spence Jr., right? It just was not the same. And it may have, it's definitely bugging him today. No, I'm not even joking. It's just like, if you see the fight, it was not great. And,
it's no exaggeration that the doctor allowed him to continue to fight and his eye was shut.
Right. And
it was closed.
Bro, there was even an instance where like, hey, is that blood coming out of his eye? And the doc was like, yeah, he's okay. Questionable about that medical license, but I'm not an official.
And I totally get the whole respecting fighters and knowing your personnel, like
but
some people.
At the end of the day, you're supposed to save them from themselves.
That's your job.
Like, who knows what type of damage this eye took yet again, and like if that's even something he can recover from, because you only get 2 eyes, dog. Ain't no respawns, ain't no senzu. But yeah, Barrio, you know what was wild to me too? The commentary. Like they were saying, like, oh yeah, he's only a single puncher, this, that, and the third. Like, we need him to hit with combinations. Well, he shut them up in round one by single punching a stepping jab and knocking down Ugas. And then later rounds, as he got more confident, he was like, hey, you only have to drop a dude once to get more confident with your hands. And he started letting his right hand fucking go. Jesus. That's all I'm gonna say. And not that Ugas didn't have his moments, he still had his looping overhand with the right that was, every now and then humbling.
He actually blasted him
Barrios.
with that right hand in that third round. He chopped him with it right at the end of that round.
Exactly. He let him know.
They both kind of smirked like, yeah, I'm
a veteran for a reason. I'm a veteran for a reason, dog. Don't get it twisted, right?
Former world champion.
Right. And then, bro, like he dropped him again. Was it the last round, the final round, or was it round 11? I forget.
It was 11.
The hook he hit him with, it
spun him a little bit.
It spun him, and he did not see it come. Bro, the replay was crazy. Like you're talking about, like in MMA, when you see somebody lose consciousness and they're still upright and they start collapsing, and you see them basically melting toward the canvas. That's how precise of a hook Barrios hit Ugas with. I was like, damn. I'm surprised it didn't get stopped right there, but I mean, he bounced back. Bro, the fuck does
you gotta think they're both orthodox fighters. I'm just piggybacking off that. It's like you gotta think they're both orthodox fighters. If his right eye is shut, he can't see a left hook. He's
not seeing that shit coming.
He can't see it.
He's not seeing it.
Blasted by a punch, he could not see.
Blank, yeah. And it was just the way Barrios even set it up was pretty good too. Because he kind of baited him in with a right hand. He baited Ugas into throwing the right hand, kind of swayed back a little bit, then unhooked. What the fuck am I even saying? But he threw that left hook, and it was another textbook instance, if I'm being honest. And then we didn't touch on the fact that when he hit him with that stepping jab, Ugas kind of felt anime style. I kid you not, Bryce. He rolled backwards and he got up like, omoshiroi.
I believe.
When he said that, he was like,
he was smirking. He's like, okay, that was a good warm up.
Yeah,
good warm. That's hilarious.
And that meme funny as shit. So every time that happens to me, it's like, that was a good warm. Yeah, man. I mean, listen, but. Another thing I'll say about Yordenas Ugas is he's one of these guys, and I mean this respectfully, but like he's a danger to himself because he's never gonna say he's done. And to have pause, but to have balls like that and to be that headstrong and stuff, that's you can't teach that, and you can't, you can only pray that you find a fighter like that. But the double-edged sword of that is you have to pay extra attention to that because they, that never say die shit is how guys die.
Exactly.
We always do at least, fighting is what it is and entertainment and all that, but there is, the danger is not lost on any of us as fans at the end of the day. At least I'm speaking for me. The toll that it takes on people is certainly not lost on me. I don't the guy gets knocked out, fine. I don't want to see the same guy keep getting knocked out. I think they should stop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think, especially in an instance, I didn't even consider that because I watched a lot of the fight with the volume down. So sometimes I don't like to hear the commentary.
I can see why.
I 100% missed the fact of what you said. I didn't even know that was the same eye he had surgery on. And to know that now, even having watched the fight, it makes it even crazier because I was like multiple times, like, Bryce, if you would have saw this fight, like the same way that you felt when you was watching that Michelle Waterson fight, that was how we felt watching Ugas. Like, dude, stop the fight. His eye is closed. Stop letting him fight.
Yeah. I'm looking at the clips and the pictures, and he looking like ET right now. That should have been stopped.
Oh my god,
a long time ago.
It's crazy.
That's fucking crazy.
That's crazy.
I'm sorry. Was that
so we're gonna go to the next one.
ET.
Yeah, he took it there. So our next fight, we had Erickson Lubin versus Jesus Ramos. Now, Erickson Lubin and Jesus Ramos was for the WBC Diamond Super Welterweight title. To clarify, Super Welterweight title means 154 pounds. It is also known as junior middleweight, 154 pounds. Now, on one end, we have Jesus Ramos. This dude has had a meteoric rise in this division, 5'10", 72-inch reach. He's 22 years old from Arizona, and he's a southpaw. He came into this fight 20-0, man. And he came into this 20-0 with 16 stoppages. That's very impressive, like, to say the least. And he's a busy guy. This was his second fight this year. The last time he fought was back in March. He fought against Joseph Spencer, TKO'd him in 7 rounds. On the other end, we got Erickson Lubin, a guy that's not much older than him, 28 years old, but is honestly a young veteran in the sport. At this point, 28 fights in, came, with 18 stoppages. He definitely was another guy that had a meteoric rise, very similar to Jesus Ramos. He was 18-0 before he lost for the first time, and he took an ugly first round KO stoppage to Jamel Charlo in his 18th fight.
1 second, man. I just looked at the screenshot you sent of the weight classes. Mm-hmm. That shit makes no sense.
I know.
What the fuck, bro?
It's upsetting.
What is this?
It's upsetting.
Why is it like this? How the fuck super bantamweight is junior featherweight and super featherweight is junior? What the fuck is going on, bro?
Yeah, they can all be called all of those things. So if you hear a junior middleweight fight or a super welterweight fight, that's the same weight class.
Man, boxing fans must have a lot of nosebleeds. Go on, my bad.
You're good.
So I had to get that off my chest because what the
Erickson Lubin was 18-0 before he ran into Jamel Charlo, and he was taking his shot at the WBC belt, and he lost in a like I said, a viral and a pretty ugly first round KO. Like, it was like 20 seconds into the first round. However, after that, he came back and he put on he won 7 straight, went on to win the WBC silver title. And then he eventually lost to Sebastian Fundora. If you are not familiar with Sebastian Fundora, it's TJ's favorite fighter, the guy that fights
Stop it. Don't say it.
Light middleweight.
Don't
6'5",
say it.
6'6". Just doing his thing.
Hilarious.
Just doing his thing. So that was ultimately the last. Erickson Lubin unfortunately was stopped in that fight by the doctor, and then he came back and KO'd Luis Arias back in June, of this year, June 24th. And here he is, pretty much looking to put himself in a position to, get back into prominence and win another world title. And this was for the vacant WBC Diamond Super Welterweight title. The Diamond Super Welterweight title basically will gain him. It's essentially another version of an interim title.
Yeah, they said it was like a title eliminator, I think, on the broadcast.
Yeah, so once you are elevated at least by the WBC to diamond status, it grants you you're number one in line for the WBC title. And obviously, honestly, the WBC thing kind of, trying to think how to put this, it made sense to do it like that because the champion was already fighting on this card.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, and also I know that for a guy like Erickson Lubin, that was a pretty full circle thing because this was the belt ultimately he was going for when he lost to Jamel Charlo, and Jamel Charlo, had that belt. Mm-hmm. So that's what he was going after. At any rate, Jesus Ramos and Erickson Lubin, again, 2 guys that you don't have to look for, but very early on, man, Jesus Ramos Jr. his foot was on the gas pedal. He was digging that left foot in the canvas, and he was trying to dig those hands into Erickson Lubin's face. He was pressing Erickson Lubin, for a vast majority of this fight. Was multiple times pushing him back to the ropes, was trying to work his body. I found that he was not finding a lot of success to the head, but was finding more success to the body with his looping shots. Couldn't really get anything going up the middle. And I felt like that's where Lubin was able to find success against Ramos. Don't get it confused. For as much as Ramos was pushing and trying to press the pace against Ramos, as much as Ramos was pushing the pace against Lubin was still in the fight. He definitely was a live dog the entire time. Erickson Lubin, his nickname is the Hammer. He's not nicknamed that on accident. Like, you know what I'm saying? His KOs have gone viral, not just like, oh, I knocked this guy out. Like, it's how he goes about him. It's the power that comes with those punches. He was the first guy to put Sebastian Fundora down. He dropped Sebastian Fundora. He's the first person to ever do that. So, ultimately, after a pretty dominant first half, it seemed like Jesus Ramos kind of took his foot off the gas again, because I'm not listening to the commentary. I was informed by TJ that his coaches said that he could kind of let his foot off the gas a little bit.
Yeah, they were basically telling him, like, hey, you're winning. You won these rounds, so you can kind of coast a little bit, which is a mistake, because that gave Lubins the opportunity to start really getting his offense going and to honestly steal apparently quite a few rounds from Ramos Jr., because it was not the same fight after that. And ultimately,
my man pulled the robbery.
Yeah, dude. Ultimately, what happened? Lubin. Sorry, I keep calling Lubins. Lubin ends up getting his hand raised.
The African-American urge to add an S to a last name.
Oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
It is real.
Listen, I have a cousin to this day calls me Matthews. To this day.
You just stopped fighting it?
Yeah, bro.
That's
He has known me since I was in my mother's stomach, bro. He knew what my name was gonna be before I knew I had a name. He's had more than enough time to salvage the fact that my name is Matthew. There's no S, and he has never not said it. I love him.
That's wild. That's hilarious. But back to
that's Lubin. Commitment right there.
Yeah, low key, right? It's like we know you have this information at your fingertips. What? But anyway, Lubin versus Ramos ended up going one way and a totally different way, like halfway into the fight. But it's something that Matt brought up off air. It's like, that's why you got to keep the gas on. You can't take it off at any point, because especially if you're relying on the decision, nothing is guaranteed. So you might as well just keep pressing the gas like you haven't won shit. But hey, lesson learned, I guess.
Yeah, man. And with that, we are gonna go into our final fight of the night, our main event. We had Jermell Charlo versus Canelo Alvarez, and this fight was for the WBC, WBA, IBF, WBO, and Ring super middleweight titles.
So many belts.
Yeah, this was for all of Canelo's belts.
So basically, they become undisputed, right?
Well, Canelo is already undisputed in his. But I mean,
it would have been like Jermell's chance to
yes,
just immediately skip the line.
Yeah, it was Jermell's chance to become a double undisputed champion. Right. And not only a double undisputed champion, but he would have jumped 2 weight classes.
Right.
Because Jermell Charlo is the champion at 154. He has all of those belts. So the belt that Erickson Lubin fought for, he's the WBC champion in that division.
Mm-hmm.
So he jumped up from 54 up to 68, which is where Canelo has all those titles. Jermell Charlo is 33 years old, from Lafayette, Louisiana, but they are primarily stationed in Texas. He and his brother, he and his identical twin brother are Texas-raised twin brothers. They are both world champion boxers, which is obviously really, really impressive. Jermell Charlo, of the two.
Hey, Matt, real quick. What's his twin brother's name?
You're a piece of shit, man.
Sorry.
Jamel Charlo has a twin brother, and his twin brother's name is Jamal.
Like,
the difference in the spelling is an E and an A. Jermell. Jermall. They also, well, no, they don't.
That's
They're
funny
not like
as
those.
hell.
Yeah, their
That's
parents
funny as hell. I would
Um,
be mad as hell about my twin. Oh my god.
The main difference, though, the easiest way to tell them apart, is only really when they fight because they have different tattoos. Because he's literally his identical twin. There's no funny business about it. They got the same face.
They have slightly different hairstyles now, which kind of helps.
Yeah, that helps.
Which kind of
that
helps,
does help.
Like, yo,
because they used to have the same haircut too, and it was like,
dog.
Please, like,
dog.
Can one of y'all just get braids or something? Can one of y'all lose y'all hair? Fuck. But at any rate, so we got Jamel Charlo, who was undefeated, 31-0 up until he ran into Tony Harrison back in 2018, and he lost his WBC super light middleweight title, and he 2 fights later was able to win it back. After that, he went on a quest to try to unify all of the belts in his division, which led him into Brian Castano. And after a series of fights that he was able to put a stamp on with a TKO finish in 10 rounds back in May of 2022, he was able to move on to fight Canelo Alvarez. Now, this fight fell to Jamel Charlo after his brother turned it down, Jamal. Jamal actually is in the weight class, basically right there with Canelo, but instead it went to Jamel. So on the other end, we have the living legend, the living Mexican legend, Canelo Alvarez. Canelo is also 33 years old, but his resume is much
13,
longer.
Dog.
Yeah, Canelo Alvarez has as the story goes, is he turned pro when he was 14 years old in Mexico. There's some iffiness on the details of that, but it doesn't seem entirely inaccurate if you know your business. This dude is incredible. Again, like I said, 33 years old. This was his 64th professional fight.
That's insane.
64th professional fight. I didn't even bother to count what number title fight this has been for him. And I don't even mean at this level. I just mean period in his career. Canelo Alvarez, we last saw back in May of this year defeat John Ryder, retaining all of his super middleweight titles, and looking to continue to get big fights. He ended up fighting Jamel Charlo at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Now, Canelo is the smaller of the two. 5'8", 5'8", 70-inch reach. Jamel Charlo being 5'11" with a 73-inch reach. But despite the fact that he fights at a smaller weight class, another thing that plays into he and his brother being twins is they have almost the same body type as well. These are big guys. These guys are not small. So it was interesting to see what would happen with a dude that was a little bit bigger and pretty athletic. Now, what I learned was during this time since we last saw Canelo, he said that he, quote unquote, had a return to form. And he went and trained for this camp in Big Bear as opposed to in Guadalajara like he typically does at home.
Got his wrist fixed too.
Yeah, he was able to get his wrist worked on. And to be honest with you, a lot of my predictions and things that I felt about how I had seen Canelo fight previously to this, I threw him out the window. He looked rejuvenated, man. It was scary to see this guy, his legs and stuff. I was of the belief, and I have no shame saying this, I was of the belief that Canelo could be slowing down. And I don't mean it in the sense that people are like, oh, he might have lost a step. I'm saying he's 33.
And been fighting since he was 14. That's a lot of combat mileage.
60 plus fights.
Yeah.
Even and for a guy that operates on his level, slowing down still has him operating at a world championship level.
Right.
I'm saying maybe he's slowing down, like he probably ain't gonna be taking too many more fights.
Right.
You know, he was definitely fighting a less mobile style a lot recently. A lot, you know, it's definitely a lot more patient, waiting, taking his time. You know, more power shots, and we saw a lot more of that. But I felt like a lot of what I saw this time out of him, he was very mobile. TJ, why don't you go into the fight? Break the fight down.
So I was listening to the commentary because, I don't watch boxing fights that often. So I was like, all right, this might be some good insight. But they were being like, yeah, Canelo normally he'll take a round or two as a download phase, really just, gauge his opponent's reactions on. Canelo's download phase lasted maybe a minute into the first round. And then, and that, even that's kind of generous. And then immediately started taking over the center of the ring and did not stop loading up on all of his punches. Like, I almost felt bad for Charlo because I was like, what did he do to make Canelo this mad? But apparently he also did a lot. But dude, it's just like every single punch Canelo threw was the kitchen sink and the whole fucking apartment. Bryce, like if you listen to clips of the sound he was making off of Charlo's body, it's just like, why are you hitting him this hard? He ended up dropping him. Was it I want to say round 7?
It was round 7 with the chopper.
Round 7, yeah. And it was just like, God damn. That's why I kind of jokingly says, like, you would have had to tell me he was a smaller person because he was overwhelming Jermell Charlo, like overwhelming him constantly in his face, constantly like, let's fight. And Jermell just did what he could, I guess. But
did what he could.
Yeah, it was a unanimous decision, but make no mistake, I also feel like it could have ended in a KO if he capitalized a little bit more on the knockdown. But still, I'm gonna pass it back over to Matt because that was just a fantastic performance, a fantastic showing for Canelo.
He sounded like he was the serving flat.
He had it his way, man.
Mm.
He had things his way for the majority of this fight. He helped Jermell Charlo almost entirely on his back foot for the majority of this fight. Jermell Charlo for a decent amount of time did what he could to keep his back off of the ropes. But, and I'm not gonna lie to you, TJ, that commentary was not inaccurate in the fact of he does do like this download phase and stuff like that. That commentary was not inaccurate.
Well,
at
shit,
all.
He must have overclocked his CPU, bro. Because
yeah, I was gonna say, but in the instance of yesterday, he must have just instantly felt comfortable. It just felt really good. Maybe he just felt real loose and just said,
no time. Yeah,
because you're right. There was no real download phase. He was throwing power punches in round 1.
Yeah,
like he was not testing the waters. He was like, "Fuck it, I'm going for it."
Right.
And I guess to a degree you could have assumed like, damn, like, is he gonna burn himself out? Nope.
No.
He was very mobile. He was cutting the ring off. He was stepping side to side. Usually Canelo kind of does a little bit more of a hold the center of the ring and let you do the work.
And part of Charlo's strategy was to use the side to side movement, but Canelo shut that down quick.
Yeah.
Using like his left hand and the uppercuts to just kind of like stop the lateral movement. It was kind of a masterclass.
Yeah, man. It was to be fair, and it was respectfully a one-sided bout. Like it wasn't, there's no two ways about how that fight went. It was almost all Canelo.
Now, time. Question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Since, Bud Crawford essentially said that Jermell is off his radar, is he looking at Canelo?
It could definitely be done. That fight has been, it's on the table. I think if they do it at 160, 154.
Mm-hmm.
I don't imagine. This is just fan booking at this point, right?
Excuse me. Yeah.
But I don't imagine that Terrence Crawford walks around way off weight because he's such a gym guy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's near impossible for me to imagine that this dude is like blowing up to some crazy weight in between fights.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine he probably walks around 55. You had that fight at 54. 54 is nothing for Canelo to make. At least to my belief, I think he could probably make 54. Or you make it at 60. Why not? Or you fight the other Charlo brother in Texas. Make the big money. Fight Jamal Charlo in AT&T Stadium in Texas. That's your next fight. Beat the other brother.
Yeah.
Do it.
Like, okay, you beat one. Can you beat the other brother, the one that fights at a heavier weight in their hometown?
Fulfill your destiny.
I hate this dude. So I don't know. That's my opinion. That's what I would like to see him do next. I don't know. I was upset that this one wasn't in Texas because I just don't see why that. I just felt anyway. I'm not gonna put myself through that pain. Any final thoughts, bro? TJ?
It was a really exciting card overall.
Yeah, I felt like all the fights delivered. I felt like everybody gave a good account of themselves. I felt like everybody wasn't a lot of tying up, wasn't a lot of wrapping up. Everybody I felt came to fight. I thought it was an entertaining night of fights, even for people that even for more casual and less hardcore fans. I thought it was just an entertaining night of boxing.
Yeah.
Next week, what you guys can expect from us for fights that we'll be covering. We have UFC is back. We got UFC Fight Night. Dawson versus Green. We got Grant Dawson 20-1 going up against King Bobby Green 30-14.
Bobby Green been kind of active as of late.
Yeah, I ain't seen him be in a main event in a minute, so I was like,
some Fialio waves. But go on.
Oh yeah. We got Drew Dober on that card as well. Alex Hernandez is on this card. Alex Moreno is on this card.
Abdul Razak Al Hassan.
Joaquin Buckley. Yeah.
Oh,
Abdul Razak is on that.
Gonna be
I
shooting.
hope he's not angry.
Yeah.
And Carolina Kovacevic.
Yeah.
Hey, listen.
I was just like, what did he do, bro? But go on.
Man, you'll see. We got some everybody on here. And on the other end,
backstage
boxing,
is gonna be crazy. But
yeah, backstage is gonna be nuts next week. In boxing, we don't have anything big coming up. We do have Laywood versus Josh Warrington in Manchester for the WBA featherweight title. And that is co-main evented by Terry Harper versus Cecilia Breakhouse. The most notable fight we have coming up in October is Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou. That is scheduled to take place October 28th. The reason I say scheduled and I don't put a stamp on it is scheduled, but it was also announced that Tyson Fury is going to be fighting Usyk in December.
That's why I was like, wait a minute.
We're gonna see what's gonna happen.
Right.
But with that, thank you guys for rocking with us. This has been another episode of the Now Mind You podcast, but this was the combat edition. You can follow me wherever you like to get your social media at Matt Hambrick. That's MattHambricktj.
Listen up, y'all. I'm going to hit you with the Quiet Storm voice once again. Where can you find me? Ladies, not single.
Hell no.
But you can find me on Instagram, the gram, if you will. Tuss4skate. That's TUSS4_SKAT. Bryce, my nigga. Where can they find you?
AT to the E. What you want to do with me? No.
You can find a nigga at @Shay_Onson. That's AXE_ONCA. Baby.
Hey, nigga, it took me a second to realize he was singing his outro. You can follow us at Now Mind You Podcast, wherever you like to get your podcast and wherever you'd like to get your social media. We are everywhere. We are also on YouTube. With that, peace out, guys, and we will see you next week. Be safe.
Peace.
Peace.